right, I think we're live. Let me fix up some of these lights. My favorite Fortnite streamer. I've never streamed Fortnite before. I only stream block mining simulation game. SAQ, how's it going? So we've got 0 views and 2 chatters. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I guess that's basically an accurate description of me. Dr. Sushi, hi, how's it going? How's my favorite game developer doing? Not too bad. Things are slowly making progress, slowly wading through the chaos of the world. Did a bit of work on taxes this week. What exactly are you working on? Do you use AI like Cloud 3.5 to help code? I have not used any of the AI coding tools. I've watched lots of videos on them, but never actually tried any of them. They, I don't know, I guess a lot of them require like IDEs and stuff, so and I haven't really, I used Eclipse a bit back in the day, but let's see, a few. Yeah, I'll second that comment that Ben Tobin made for SAQ, but tons of other Reddit communities, but for, you know, all the quantum stuff you want to talk about, that's not really it's kind of off topic for here. Got a notification from YouTube. Ended up here. This will be interesting. I'm curious, have you never seen my channel before? It's kind of random how YouTube works. I need powerful AIs, not humans. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that. You should try them out. I would like to hear if you think they're useful. Probably the AI assistants. Yeah, I think they do. They do sound like they would be useful in some specific cases. I've like things like autocomplete for like there's been a lot of times when I'm setting up stuff in Java, like setting up like setters and getters, or like you have a class and you want to serialize the class. Just like finding all the members and like finding out how to, put those, just package them up into a JSON object and set all the member names and stuff like that. I think that's where it could really shine, but I haven't used it for that. Really, what's holding me back is just the integration part, getting it all configured and set up. I still have yet to. I need to actually find a good terminal-based way of doing Java development on the command line. Like, I know there's some language servers and stuff, but every time I research them, they seem like they're not mature in development, and people have a lot of trouble getting them going. I found you about a year ago on Shorts. Huh. So I guess my Shorts works for getting people in here. I have not. The algorithm showed me you. Yeah, the algorithm is the algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh. Watched a video interview with misled core developer 2024. Where it's a carbon clone of your personality. Misled core developer. Oh, those are like the comedy skits. I think I've seen that guy's channel interview with a certain insert here. Can't stay for long, sadly, but I hope it goes well. Have a good day. Have a good day as well. Said the dude who said he doesn't want to talk to humans. Okay. Did you celebrate the 4th of July? I'm Canadian, so I guess do we have? Maybe we have some holiday. I think I heard fireworks. I can't remember. Yeah, we had some kind of a holiday recently. We had a long weekend. I can't remember what it's for. It's too many chats. I gotta let me get on with my itinerary. All right. Okay, so today I'll do the usual status update, and then move on to discussion of. Once again, I don't really have anything prepared, so I'll just do some review of the block mining simulation game, because I did work on that a little bit this week. So I did started work on the accounting finally, and balanced the checking account, so that those are just one of the things you got to do if you have a business. Got to do your yearly corporate income tax. This is the first year where I actually had merchandise purchases. I made $220 in revenue this year, and I figured that's for this update, that's a good, perfect opportunity to plug my merch store at store.robertelder.org. This is the current selection that I have in my online store. I don't expect to make a lot from it, but it's just a couple of these were some. I did a few. This one here and this one here from a Kickstarter campaign that I did, and I just have some extra left over. I've only got maybe like 10 or something. Figured I'd put them up in there, and then if just as an A/B test to see if any of these actually get any meaningful amount of sales, and then I double down on them and maybe start advertising them and stuff more. So far, the most popular item has been the 3 prints, which is interesting. I think that was an interesting lesson in marketing. I think like with all the discussion about AI art and the value of art going to zero and stuff, I think it's interesting that because I commissioned an artist, a real artist, to make these prints, and the fact that people still buy art is interesting, but it also it really hit me how I think the key to selling this kind of stuff is you need the spaced repetition. So I think people saw these prints from my videos, and if you watched like all my videos, then you've probably seen these a few times, and then you start to get attached to them. And I think I sold. I haven't really even talked about these or advertised these, but the microchip prints. So I have some random silicon dies. So if you want to buy some microchips, and for a couple of them I have I have some larger size. I guess I don't have the zoomed in one here, but I have a larger print of this one here. Anyway, so this year, $220 in revenue, and then next year, $10 million. Okay, let's take a look at some chats. Now I found you like 2 days ago or something. Didn't recognize you straight away. Yeah, interesting. I guess. Yeah, eventually, once you find that first video where it clicks and you kind of remember to connect together the whole channel, that's when you really convert to a channel, I find. I'm more complex than you think. Nice meeting. You're free to think you're right and everything is disapproval. Yeah, like I said before, SIQ, I may have to moderate you because you're chatting too much about off-topic stuff. And I think Ben was right when he said there's lots of subreddits and stuff for that topic. I'll stay as a passive guest and continue listening. Yeah, I guess that's the default user of live streaming. It's interesting to think how many people there are who just are lurkers, who are consuming all the media out there and never leaving an impression. I have a question on the grep short. What apple were you eating in it? It might have been a Gala apple. I specifically selected the apples so they would look interesting and like, I picked through a bunch of them to get like a nice big shiny red spot on them. I also, when I was picking out the apples, and I was reflecting, like, thinking, wow, these shorts make so little money that the apple that I used as the prop in that video costs more money than I'm probably going to make off of the ad revenue in, like, I don't know, maybe ever, but like probably, I think it made like 35 cents in revenue yesterday. But I guess the success model with shorts is they really seem to be, they're not about making money, they're about, getting people in to find your channel and stuff. Okay, next. Oh yeah, I filed annual returns. So that's an annual return for a business is different than a tax return. So you have to, every year, you have to file in every jurisdiction you're in. So for the in Canada in the province, and also you have to file a federal return. And it's basically a thing that says like, my company is still active, the directors are still the same, and you got to click some buttons and stuff. And it used to be easier, but of course, everything is getting hacked more. So in the last few years, the government has like stepped up all the two-factor authentication for things. So now you have to like sign up for all these like extra government accounts and stuff and confirm things and set up your account, and like it's just all it really is fundamentally click a button to say like nothing has changed. But and then of course you have to pay the government a little bit of money every time you file it. Yeah, as I mentioned, released a shorts video this week. I put I guess it wasn't quite a bit more. It was I'd say I put like twice as much work into this one, into the grep one as lot of the other ones. And I think long term that'll be of course I'm not putting out as much stuff recently, but I'm definitely of the opinion that as YouTube becomes more competitive, people are going to appreciate a small number of high quality pieces over large number of low quality. And the next thing is I want to focus on completely finishing up and packaging up core utils, so then I can stop talking about it and stop thinking about it. I'm pretty. I think I've got my fill of learning core utils for this lifetime, but I think it'll be good to. I don't think anyone else has done as much of a deep dive, at least in the same way that I have. So there's definitely lots of interesting learnings, and a few of them I actually made in the 30 days of videos. I'm going to connect some of those ones together because a lot of the core utils commands, some of the shell built-ins are also core utils commands, but that's not a super obvious thing, and I think it's definitely a gotcha that like the echo or printf command, not realizing that you're using the shell built-in version versus the executable, and of course there's even more implementations of it than with the documentation, because you can have built-in documentation, you can have the info documentation, then you can have the man page documentation, and of course there's also even the shell built-in documentation. There's two different versions of it that are not identical. Robert. It's a pretty good comment. I like that one. Yeah, so I'm doing that as a blog post. The blog post is going to have the links to all the core utils videos, and then once I've done the writing for that, then I'll kind of package that up and turn that into the script for the video. Next topic is, so last no, it wasn't last week, it was before, because last week I did terminal character graphics, the sixels was what I talked about last week, I think, and that was as a result of figuring out what was wrong when I tried to run the terminal-based block mining simulator within tmux, as I guess I just never tried that. I assumed it would work naively, but it actually totally broke, and that was on the stream. So I did a bit more research on like how to. I made the character width detection a lot more robust, and it ended up being like insanely complicated now. But and I'll talk a bit about that today. How'd you get introduced to programming? I think I always knew that programming was a thing. Like I remember playing like Age of Empires, and I think my first concept of programming was you could make scenarios, and you could do these like conditions and effects, and I knew that was like similar in a way to programming, and it was just I found it really interesting making these custom scenarios, and then eventually I think the first thing that I found out about was I learned of the existence of like DOS and QBasic and stuff. So I started messing around with that probably back when I was like 13 or 14 or something. And then I kind of did that a bit through high school. And then after I graduated, I tried, the first like really big attempt I did at programming was I tried writing a bot for World of Warcraft. And then for that was, a few thousand lines or something. And it was a pretty successful phishing bot, but then it got me banned. And then I guess from there I had dreams of writing algorithms to trade the stock market automatically. And I realized like if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to get like a formal education in programming. So then I came to university, and by the time I finished university, I realized that I was not going to be competitive in that kind of space, at least as a retail investor. And then, moved on to other things, and here I am now. Sixels was a fun one. Yeah, Sixels was, I know I said, one of the things I said in the last stream was that I kind of think they probably shouldn't really be added to most terminals. Like, it seems like most of them, you can enable Sixel graphics with like a special compiler option if you compile it yourself. But I think it's probably best to not have them. But at the same time, because they've existed for a while, they would be kind of neat. Like you could actually make like real interesting terminal-based games with them. But at the same time, you also have to question like what's the point? Why, if you're going to do that, if you're going to use like advanced graphics, why not use something else? Like why not use like actual graphics acceleration and stuff like that, so you can outsource stuff to the video card. I guess that's probably if Sixels do catch on and they start implementing them, then you might have like NVIDIA accelerated terminal environments. Historical aspect of it, maybe it could be implemented more securely in a sandbox-like manner. I think the security issue is mainly on like on the parsing of the like drawing instructions. There are I think some there's some more advanced like rendering primitives and stuff like that back because it's 1980s, so they invented their own little graphics primitives. I don't know all of them, but I'd assume there's the kind of thing that there's probably some like weird corner case one where if you use this weird graphics instruction that no one else uses, there's probably some buffer overflow sitting in there. And then, of course, you have to implement that securely in all the terminals and somehow do it in C without introducing a new buffer overflow. But then again, terminals already do a lot of complicated stuff. There's like, fonts are incredibly complicated, and there's a lot of ways fonts can. I think there's been a few like impressive hacks with fonts where like I think it might have been one of the NSA hacks where they implemented some kind of virtual machine inside of a drawing primitive that was inside of a font file, and then within this like virtual machine they had like a specific cross compiler that compiled stuff to this. It was just a really crazy exploit. Time for bed. Time here is 4:22. That's pretty late or early. I'll be back. Thanks for sharing. Wish you the best. Good night. Have a good night. So I implemented some improvements to the block binding simulator, and they ended up being super complicated because I overcomplicate things. I have basically like a dedicated thread that receives, when you want to do a character with measurement request, it receives a message. And it was also, I implemented something that I've needed for a few other things in the block mining simulator, and that is the ability for to have like one thread request information from another thread and then get back like a message, but in a blocking way, so that one thread can block waiting for another thread to give it something back, because that was necessary for the printing thing, for the character width detection, because before you can actually like format something and figure out how wide a frame has to be. It has to do a request to the special server and then figure out how wide is the text going to be. And then for those special characters, there's only a few characters that I need to measure, like the emoji characters and stuff. Then it'll cache that, and for the life of the program. Oh yeah, also the MKV attack vector could rootkit any iPhone. No user interaction, persistent access, really bad stuff. Yeah, these kinds of things are, these kinds of hacks are, I don't know, it's almost like I don't even worry about it. It's just, it's like worrying about an asteroid hitting you or something, or like there's certain, like, if I click on a phishing email, that's my fault, and there's stuff, due diligence that I can have to avoid getting infected. But if the NSA wants to hack me or something, then it's basically an act of God. There's nothing I can do to resist this. They could, like, I'm sure, like, they have the resource. If you want, when you buy a laptop, they can just, like, look your name up in a database, and then they could just, like, pre-infect the bootloader or something like that, and can't defend against it. iMessage would parse any MKV file sent to it. No user interaction needed. Something buffer over memory space. Worrying the entire U.S. Army base is going to break down your front door. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to, they could. Stat scrogens. Not familiar with that term. So yeah, the block mining simulator should work in Tmux now. But it still has problems in GNU Screen, and I think that's probably going to be like a kind of persistent thing. I think I don't know how much time I'll waste on supporting all these different platforms, but I think the general solution is going to have to be because there's also an issue in Tmux in wide character mode. And it seems like there's, I Googled it, I think it actually just might be an older version of Tmux. And it's a bug in Tmux, basically, because it's not, it's using like an older table for Unicode characters. But I think the general solution will be to just have like an optional flag so that you can, or, have some things so you can manually just like look at how the characters seem to be printed, and then you can give some feedback, and then you can just pass in like a file that has a list of how wide these specific characters are, because it turns out that calculating how wide a character is literally an impossible problem, because at least in GNOME terminal I found you can just use the cursor position check method to find out how wide a character is, but in GNU Screen, at least for my testing today, it seems like, and also in that wide character mode in the buggy version of Tmux, if you print like a rock character, it's obvious, like if you print a rock character and then in the next line you're printing like, A, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one single column spaced characters. The rock character, if you print that and then do a cursor position report, the rock only counts as 1. And I don't even know how, I'm not exactly sure how the index position is counted, like who has the responsibility of that, whether that's stored within Screen or something with Screen uses as a library or Tmux. But anyway, it's wrong. So the column numbers are not like you can have. It's possible to have two characters that are just over top of each other, and if they would have a different X position for if you report the cursor position. What is the width of this diacritic? Answer negative, positive, or nothing. Depending on other content and neighboring characters, and also screen layout. Yeah, it's but it's also like the terminal is very obviously it's in discrete cells. Like you can point to the column with your finger. You could just count how many columns over. But what I've realized is, like, for certain emoji characters in GNU screen or with the wide character mode, you can literally count with your finger, and that count does not match what the cursor position actually reports. In some modes, in GNU screen and also tmux with the wide mode. So I guess it's one of those. So I had another project where I struggled with this issue, and that I thought I had a pretty universal solution with character width detection, which is pretty good, but it's like one of those like literally unsolvable problems. I think of those two cases are probably, you can technically call them bugs. I think it might be because GNU screen, I believe it doesn't necessarily have Unicode support, and that's probably why it's not calculating it's not taking into account the correct character widths. Variable width spaces make alignment annoying. Is there a variable width space in Unicode? Like, is it different every time or something, or it's configurable? Those are like predictable though, and I'll have to make more thorough demo of this issue. It's such a weird. It's such an irrelevant problem to spend so much time on, but it unfortunately, if you want to do anything graphical, it's comes up a lot. And of course, in debugging some of this stuff, I'd use vim diff to compare the two outputs, and repeatedly I'd find that even in Vim doesn't get it right, because Vim is trying to calculate the character widths, but the in tmux or screen, it's not getting it right. Okay, game terminal block binding simulator has also some deadlocks. That's another issue I've needed to fix. I wanted to it's been on my to-do list to fix that. I was going to work on it earlier, but then I found all these other character width bugs. But the deadlock issues are also related to there's some problems with the loading. So on a slower computer, what it seems like happens is it loads the whole screen, and then it sends off requests to the game server to generate the new chunks, and then it's generating them. But as they come back, it doesn't actually update the screen, because there's it's basically like process starvation. So what happens is it lags and does nothing and gives no feedback, and then the whole screen updates all at once. So it's not a good user experience. Yeah, and some of that will also be solved with the blocking message thing. So I can send part of the reason I implemented it so haphazardly in a way that has the deadlocks is because I didn't have a way to do blocking message requests to different threads. But now that I have that, I can hopefully use it for for scheduling the block updates. Same last name. I guess you guys are related. All right, let's play some block mining simulator. So to dog food my own product. So we're in tmux right now. Yeah, and so this here is, I think, one of the deadlock cases, and I found it only works, it only happens when I open it not in without logs, because I think when I open it without a log file, it doesn't write to the log, so it makes some of the startup code a bit faster, but then I think it gets into the deadlock condition. So I quit that and then just run it again. Then okay, now it seemed to go. All right, so this is the tmux demo of block mining simulator that did not work last week. So the lag is not too bad right now, but it still does have significant lag issues. If I just hold the M down, then it'll mine way too many, it'll mine the same block more than once. It's basically a waiter dupe. Let's see, you can't see my inventory. Looks like it's deadlocked again. All right, it's not a lot of screen real estate, but you can at least see my inventory now. All right, let's go back to the origin. It does make it a bit faster if I run it like this. Yeah, I guess that's quite pleasant actually for this slow old laptop. So the way it works now is As soon as the game sees a new character, like these colored blocks that it hasn't seen, if it hasn't seen them before, what it does is it prints. It moves the cursor up here, and then prints one of those characters, and measures the updated cursor position. And based on the change in the cursor position, because I set it to a known, set it like 1, 1, and then print something, measure the update. From that, I can get the character width, and then I just actually quickly, immediately after, print over that border that I broke, and then I just cache that result, so I never have to do that process again. And then where I actually wanted to print things, then I know how much padding to add around it. Would you ever create a bot for this game? Yeah, I think given the nature of it, it would be kind of prime for botting. I mean, you could maybe even add like put a bot into the game itself, put like a scripting language or something. Lots of neat stuff I think you could do with it, but for now, I'm not going to get carried away. Just going to try to make it actually work first. And yeah, once I get like the deadlocks and like the kind of the horrible, like in the very least, when you open the game, it shouldn't look terrible. Like it shouldn't crash, shouldn't deadlock, shouldn't look horrible, or be like terribly laggy like it is right now. I guess some of the lag's not, you could still kind of call it a game with that. This is a pretty old laptop, so it's kind of excusable. I think probably when I change the block loading, that might make some of the lag that we're experiencing here go away. Oh, there's a crash. Oh, I think that's because my inventory. Hello, bad cop. I think that's because my inventory. I added something to my inventory, but I don't. The screen is too small, so probably if I do that, maybe. Yeah, I think it was printing this over here, but it couldn't do that because my screen was too small, so it was just a simple array index out of bounds. Yeah, I haven't given any consideration at all to making sure it actually works in the assumption is just like the terminal is always big enough, which is not true. Looks like it's deadlocked again. And looks like another deadlock. I wonder if it also could have a corrupted game state, maybe. Won't load anymore. Yeah, that's definitely the next thing to fix. Not much of a game if it just deadlocks all the time. think it's deadlocked. Oh, there we go. We got lucky. Oh yeah, I was crafting something when I got... There we go. Now I can finish my crafting. Make a crash handler that runs rm-rf. Everything is root if the game ever crashes. No, that's the worst crash handler. Actually, I spent a lot of work on the crash handler for this because it's running in. I've got multiple threads. There's these are the things that I end up spending like massive amounts of time on, is setting up the game code so that ideally, no matter what should happen is if any of the like 8 threads that are running, if they crash, it should immediately capture that exception, and then it sends that up, and then it also signals for all. It instructs all other threads to immediately shut down and exit gracefully, and then once everything is exited, then it restores the gets it out of raw mode, because if it like right now it's in raw mode where you can't type and can't get feedback and stuff, or you can't press enter, can't press control C, so it restores the cooked mode into the terminal, and then prints the exception and tries to gives you a graceful crash, because the alternative is if that doesn't work properly, then it's just kind of a nightmare. The only thing you can do is just like close the terminal and compile the game as a kernel module. That's one idea. Have you compiled it for Temple OS? No, not yet. That's I'll add that to the to-do list to support. Yeah, usually you can. Sometimes if you really break it, it's like if it's like stuck doing something and you don't, if it's off in an infinite loop and you can't get the shell back, then you can't actually issue the command, the stty sane. All right, I guess this actually works, or at least we identified 2 major bugs tonight. One is of course, the deadlocking, which was that was a major problem tonight, and then of course the bounds checking, or the issue with when the terminal width is too small to show all the inventory items. Right now, there's no like inventory item pagination or anything. It's a really simple like array offset, just like calculate the column with like simple division, modulo, and all right. I was gonna do a little bit of like some code review or something. So one of the cores of this thing is, so I have most of the tasks use this work item processor. Yeah, I really don't, my code looks pretty ugly on this. As much as I do command line stuff, I often don't stick to the 80 character wide, the 80 wide character limit. I have tons of, I really like these super long lines, which looks pretty terrible in this case. How big is the binary? Let's see. It is 41 megs. So it's pretty big. Actually, I think I'm using SQLite for the database. For the single player version, it uses SQLite, and then I also have a multiplayer backend that uses Postgres. But in this jar, I think the SQLite dependency is like most of that 41 megs. Yeah, I mean, you can do Java in 80 columns. It just means you have to do like write code like this a lot. And personally, I don't know. I don't. I have a certain way that I like to read it. Yeah, people write stuff like this, and like for me, it's just mentally like to be able to match this bracket with this. But some people really like that, and then they'll like put this thing way over here or something, and I don't know. I just have a certain way of I need to be able to visually match the braces and brackets and stuff. SQLite saves a lot of work, makes it portable too. Yeah, it was, I think it was kind of an afterthought that, I think originally I thought I'll just use Postgres for this, but then I was like, if I do a single player client, it's going to be, I'm going to need to be able to just distribute it and stuff, but I don't know if people use SQLite for video game development much. I have not, I have no idea how scalable it's going to be. I'll probably run into some bottlenecks where it'll be become impossibly slow and start to lag a lot. But I don't know. If that happens, I'll have to look into some indexes or something, or probably help if you were using smaller tabs. Yeah, I guess this it's normally not this screen is not the biggest. I guess I'm really squeezed in right now compared to how I actually develop. Mobile version with adware when? Soon enough. I need to make it good so that people will get addicted to it. But yeah, so this was one of the core functions that many of the different threads are centered around. So I've been trying to make things into like a a work item. So there's a base class, a work item base class, and then the different threads create work items, and they can basically delegate those work items into another thread, and then that other thread will work on it. And one of the things I just implemented was to make it so that it can be a blocking work item, which is basically just, synchronous versus asynchronous messages. Or I guess a work item is just an asynchronous thing with no return value. Let's see what to say. Yeah, lots of this while condition is pretty crazy. It's one of those things that when I wrote it, I probably should have documented it better, because at the time it's like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. But yeah, I remember some really sticky, there's some gotchas around threads and their interruptedness. And if you have a thread that gets interrupted with an exception, you have to make sure you set a flag. So otherwise you can interfere with what is it? I think like timers and timeouts. Just go one sec. I think I'm getting a spam call. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the base classes that all the threads are using. And then for every for every thread that has one of those work item queues, I have a work item queue owner thread that takes items of that specific type of work item, and so they're also typed. So every different thread can have a different type of work item. So that way, I don't send the wrong type of work item to the wrong thread. Like for example, there's like a thread for updating the viewport for like printing stuff. So that way I don't send it like a message to try and initialize some initialize a block in the game or something. It'll only accept things that for the viewport and vice versa. So a lot of people hate on Java, but the more I learn Java, the more I actually like it. It's just a nice. It's verbose, but after many years of writing C and C++ to do like string concatenation and stuff, it's just never again. It's not a in this day the year 2024. We should not be using C to connect strings together. And of course, there's people would say you should write it in Rust, but I never got around to learning Rust. And I think there's there's more developers that know Java too. It's more there's a lot of like corporate support, all kinds of like weird like if you need some enterprise protocol, like something to do with like MD5 SHA calculations, serialization, deserialize, like very very enterprisey stuff. I find that it's already well supported in Java. But yeah, I think I guess I could go on. There's many thousands of lines of code in there I could review. Like being able to pass either a string or dict to a given function, that function doing cursed magic with it, depending on the typecasting. I don't like that. It's it is convenient. Like if you're writing something that's less than 1,000 lines, and you're writing it once, and you're not going to use it, you're not going to like have to come back and maintain it in a year, then that's pretty good. But I find if you want something to work and be sustainable, then or if you want something to like grow into a bigger project, it's going to be many thousands of lines. I can't stand, but like what happens, a lot of my experiences with Python are someone will write Python code like what you're describing, where it does stuff like that, where it does one completely different thing if it's a string versus if it's a dictionary, and they'll work on that until it gets so unmaintainable that they can't keep working on the project. It's just mentally overloading. And then they quit or abandon the project, and then the CEO and the manager will be like, hey, we need someone to maintain this piece of abandoned software. And then then I come onto the project and I'm like, oh man, this is insane. And then I spend all this time ironing it out, and then when it's starting to get good to work on again, then they're like, okay, that's we've got everything we need. Now we can bring back on those people who have these insane coding patterns. Literal custodian work. I mean that's where the money is. People don't pay you to write beautiful code from scratch or write like your favorite Haskell stuff. They have a business need. They want to get they have something that basically worked before, and they want to get you in and just get it to the point where it works, and then stop paying to improve it, and then cut you off. And that's a big part of my frustrations about the industry, and why of course, if you watch my videos about like why software consulting is not a great career path, it's just one project like that after another. You have a method argument. We have type object in Java. Yeah, Java's. You can almost do some of that stuff in Java, but it still is. It's a lot harder to write that kind of insane stuff. In Java, you define the same function over and over again, but with different variable scopes and lengths. Yeah, I think in Java you're always defining stuff and writing interfaces, and it's more verbose, but the thing is, you actually get something for all that writing. I think the sweet spot would be like if the AI integrations eventually start to work better. Like if it's just easier to set that up. Like if I might actually use some of it if I could get it working in Vim. If it was just a Vim plugin or something. But because for that stuff, like if you could automatically write a lot of the boilerplate in Java, then I think you could. That would take you pretty far. And then it would also probably help a lot in Python, where you could add, the AI could just add some more of the annotations and guardrails, and you could write Python that was a little bit more like strongly typed. PHIND. All right, I'll Google that. Well, on that note, I'll probably call it a night for this stream. So yeah, I'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'm not sure if I'll get time to fix the deadlock thing, but we'll see. I'll try to do at least a little bit on the block mining simulator every week. Do a little bit of work on taxes, and then I guess the major thing is I'll try to finish up the core utils video. I'm going to create a cursed Java template with hundreds of definitions of the same function name. Well, I guess if you wanna program like Python and Java, then go for it. Knock yourself out. All right. Have a good night, guys.